how to lose belly fat in less than 8 weeks. I know you're serious about this. I used to believe that anyone who had nice abdominal definition had a completely different genetic makeup than most people. I believed it was impossible for me to have any type of definition on my midsection. And then I figured out just a few things I was doing wrong, and it made a world of difference. I had tried to lose belly fat for years. I mean, my job was dependent upon it, and I just could not lose fat on my stomach. And then perimenopause. So if you are a woman who's over 40 and you have experienced a shift in where your body holds body fat, like especially around the midsection, all the way around your core, it's frustrating and you don't want another gimmick. I'm going to share with you what it really takes to lose belly fat once you reach a certain age. So whether you're in perimenopause or menopause or just notice that things have started to shift and you don't even know what's going on with your hormones, but something's definitely going on with your body, I'm going to share with you what works and what doesn't. I'm going to share with you 4 proven strategies to help you drop belly fat in the next 8 weeks. And I'm going to give you 2 versions. I'm going to give you the, oh, okay, I can handle that. I can do that version. And I'm also going to give you the, I am not messing around. Let's get real serious about this and make it happen version. And both approaches work. But picking an approach that you can stick with makes a huge difference. So that's why I'm going to give you 2 different approaches. Hey, my name is Chalene Johnson. I am 56 years old. And if you're new here, welcome to the Chalene Show. I like to share my highs, my lows, the things that have worked for me, the things that haven't worked so well, some of the mistakes I've made, what I'm doing, and share that information with you along with science. I think it's really important for us to be able to change our approaches, change our opinions based on what it is we're learning about the body. And it's crazy how much we're still learning about fat loss and weight loss and our hormones, especially for women. If you're a woman, basically over 40, you've probably experienced like a shift in where your body holds fat. Sometimes it can feel like it happens overnight. Sometimes it's just kind of like gradual. But for most of us, it's annoying. It's frustrating. And it can make you very self-conscious, and it can be very discouraging when you feel like you're doing all the things, but like nothing is working for you. And you see other women, you're like, wait, how is that possible? I know that because that was me. I mean, I was a full-time fitness professional, and partly like just I was in my own head about things. Like I once had a producer tell me that I should wear a long shirt and not show my stomach. And after hearing that, like I just got in my own head and was like, oh my God, I have horrible abs. Like, how am I even a fitness professional? Oh my God. And I believed that. And that's what I told myself. But the fact of the matter is my abs weren't great because I was doing a lot of the wrong things, especially as I started to age and as I started to enter into perimenopause. So let's talk about why this is not in your head. As we get older and our hormones begin to decline, especially for women, as estrogen decreases, estrogen is very protective. And so as estrogen's leaving, the body's like, well, we have to make sure that there's something on board to keep this woman alive. And what it does is it relies more on body fat. So as your estrogen declines, your body's like, well, hey, we're still here to protect you. How about we put some body fat on you? And your body will prioritize storing body fat, especially visceral body fat, the fat that kind of wraps around our organs, the most dangerous fat. And this fat is very difficult to lose because you're almost working against yourself. As our estrogen declines, guess what increases? Cortisol. And what does cortisol do? Cortisol tells our body to store fat. Cortisol throws our hormones out of whack. Cortisol throws our hunger hormones into overdrive. So now your body is telling you, okay, store fat around your midsection, increase the stress hormones, increase our hunger hormones so that we're hungry more often, decrease our body's ability to regulate insulin, decrease our thyroid function. So like all the things that used to work for us, as they stop working for us, as our hormones begin to decline, we start noticing things that it's not in your mind. It has nothing to do with exercising harder, and it has a lot to do with the way your body's changing. So first and foremost, I want you to know you are not alone. This isn't something you've done wrong. But understanding why it's happening allows us to avoid the gimmicks, and it allows us to do things that aren't short-sighted. I just had a conversation with a friend about who, recently lost a decent amount of body fat. And at the same time, she lost a lot of muscle, relatively speaking, far more than what she wanted to, because her goal ultimately is to be lean. Her goal ultimately is to live long and to feel powerful and to feel And to look amazing in your clothes, like, let's be real, right? Like, we want to look amazing. In order to look amazing, you don't want to be skinny fat. I know you've heard that phrase before. What does it mean? It's something that used to work for us, like in our 30s and 40s. You could like lose weight and you'd be like, oh, my stomach's flat. And we were just excited that we had a flat stomach. But a flat stomach is not going to help visceral body fat. A flat stomach does not help our body's metabolism. You want to have less body fat on your stomach. In order to do that, I'm going to share with you the 5 ways that are clinically, scientifically, study after study proven to be effective. Okay, the first strategy is your diet. No matter what exercise routine you're doing, even if you're doing a GLP-1, that is not necessarily going to reduce body fat. In fact, I've seen countless individuals who've lost a lot of weight. It's helped them to reduce body fat, but their overall body fat percentage compared to their muscle hasn't improved. In other words, they're losing muscle and body fat, and unfortunately, more muscle than they should be. So, when we talk about a strategy that helps you to lose belly fat related to your diet, here's what you need to know. Number 1, you've got to create a deficit. But if you create too much of a deficit, then your body's going to say, wait a second, this person is starving. They're not getting enough nutrients. So we can't prioritize muscle development. We need to prioritize keeping this person alive. So let's eat muscle. In other words, you've got to create a deficit somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 to 700 calories per day. Slightly less if you are a tiny person. So like if you're under 5'1", then your deficit could maybe be closer to 250 calories per day or even 300 calories per day. The amount of calories that you consume to maintain your weight right now is something you need to know in order to create a deficit. Because if you just start eating less and you eat a deficit of say like 1,000 calories a day, then you're gonna lose the weight really fast, but you're not gonna lose the body fat. You'll lose some body fat because that's a given, but you're gonna lose muscle over the body fat. So it's creating that balance. And frankly, there's no way around it. If you want this to be about losing belly fat, you need to know what it is you're eating right now in order to maintain your current weight and then create a deficit of somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 700 calories. Near the higher end, if you have a lot of weight to lose or a lot of body fat to lose, kind of near that lower end if you're fine tuning. In order to reduce belly fat, we have to prioritize muscle preservation. While you're losing weight, our goal is to make sure that you maintain that metabolic gold mine, which is your muscle. And in order to do that, we have to focus on protein. So every single meal, I want you to start with a big piece of protein. Anywhere from 25 to 35 grams of protein at every meal to start with is a great rule of thumb. It just makes it super simple for you. If you want to track macros, that's awesome. I personally don't love tracking macros. I can become too compulsive. I don't enjoy it. It's just not a lifestyle that I want to choose. But if you're choosing the approach of like, we are going all in and we don't have any choice, we need to make this happen fast, then you're going to need to track your macros. Generally speaking, you want 1.5 grams of protein per pound of ideal body weight. If you have one of those scales where you're able to see your body fat percentage, your skeletal muscle, your muscle mass, those are super affordable. I'll link to one below in the show notes that I use. Are they as effective and as accurate as a DEXA scan? No, but they're far less expensive. I love using a DEXA scan as the gold standard. You can usually get a DEXA scan for like under $100. Typically, you want a doctor to order you a DEXA scan. You can ask your clinician to do that for you when you do like a longevity visit. For those of you who are patients of MIDI Health, they have a age well appointment that you can ask for where they'll actually order you a DEXA scan. If you're already working with a clinician, ask your clinician to order you a DEXA scan or just order one of these scales. But the number to focus on is not your weight. The weight doesn't give you the whole picture. And I know, like, as a lady from the 80s who is certified in hairspray, trust me, I get it. We've been so focused on like, how much do I weigh? Like, who cares? Literally, that's not important. And the reason why it doesn't matter is because your body fat can be in the range of like 30 to 40%. But in terms of your weight on the scale, you're within what they call a healthy range for your height. But who cares? Like, that is so outdated and so useless because you're skinny fat and having that much fat on your body is really unhealthy and it will not look as good as someone who weighs more but has a lower body fat percentage. So do whatever you have to just like block out the scale, like the number, your weight. It's irrelevant. Who cares? It includes your organs, your bones, your water, your human waste, all of those things. Like it's such, and then we let it dictate our personality. We let it dictate our mood. It's just stupid. I hate it. I know we've all been brainwashed to like focus on our weight, but don't brainwash yourself to focus on the percentage of body fat that you have and specifically looking at your skeletal muscle. And when you're looking at those numbers on your scale, when you see lean muscle, that percentage versus skeletal muscle is like the muscle on our bones, right? That's the stuff that gives you shape. That's the stuff that matters. The other number, which is your muscle mass, that's going to include everything that's not body fat. So again, bone, hair, organs, etc. You want to focus on prioritizing your protein because you need protein to build muscle. Muscle is, as my friend JJ Virgin says, muscle is, it's your metabolic Spanx. It's what makes you look good in clothes. It's what makes you look good naked. It's what helps you to age powerfully. But if you're like Chalene, I have been prioritizing my protein and it's just, I don't know what's going on. It's not working. As we age, studies show we need more protein. And there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, because we're losing muscle. Number two, because our bodies don't absorb it the way they once did. I mean, let's just face it, nothing works as well as it once did, especially when our hormones are in decline. So you, as an aging woman, do not have the same digestive enzymes you once had. That's why food sits in your stomach a lot longer. It's also why if you're consuming a lot of protein, your body may not be absorbing the amino acids the way it needs to get what it needs to out of your protein. I discovered this was true for me. And when I was having this conversation with my doctor, I said, I just don't even think I can eat more protein. I cannot choke down another cup of cottage cheese or chicken breast. Are you with me? I'm like, and I don't want to like live on protein bars. And so one of the things that he suggested for me was start taking a digestive enzyme. It's going to help you to break down what it is you're eating from animal proteins. So if you are a vegetarian, and again, you're a woman who's aging, aren't we all? You might want to do a plant-based digestive enzyme. I take something called Mazymes, and if you've already got a brand that you love, that's great. For me, I am not brand loyal. For certain things, I like this brand. For other things, I like that brand. The same is true for when it comes to like makeup and hair products and clothing. Like I'm just not brand loyal, but I think there are certain brands that like do a really good job with certain things. And Bioptimizer, I'm going to tell you that I love this brand because if something doesn't work for you, they give you a 365-day money back guarantee. That's huge. And I love how devoted they are to like the science and the studies and really looking at like what is the optimal way to make sure that our bodies are using these nutrients. So this is something called Mazymes. And the reason why they call it Mazymes is you can't read this, but like there are so many different digestive enzymes. Look at my crazy nails. I'm going to see Lady Gaga with my daughter this weekend and look at these are my Lady Gaga nails. This is the point in the video where I plead with you. I get on my hands and knees because I am not above begging you to please subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to me. Like, listen, we got to support our girls who are over 50 out here trying to make it on YouTube. I really do appreciate every single one of your subscribes and I read every one of your comments. So please drop a comment. Let me know that today was the day you subscribed. Tell me a little bit about yourself. All right. Back to the show. So I take this with any meal because every meal I'm going to make sure I'm having protein. So I just take 2 of these with every single meal. And I'm telling you what, when I started doing that, it is crazy. I don't know how much like protein I started absorbing, but I do know this, the bloating. Holy cow. I lost that bloating that I didn't realize I was having after every single meal. So whether it's this digestive enzyme or one that you love, that's great. I will link to these below in my show notes, or you can just remember this, chalene.com/digest. But it is really important that you're getting enough of the right amino acids. And if you are a vegetarian or someone who's really trying to be primarily plant-based, keep in mind, it's tougher. It is definitely tougher to get in the adequate amount of amino acids and to make sure that your proteins are high enough. And you need to focus on this. You absolutely do. The next thing you need to focus on is increasing your fiber. If you want to reduce belly fat, you've got to increase your fiber intake. Increasing your fiber intake is going to help you to regulate your blood sugars, which then helps you to regulate your hunger hormones, which then helps you to regulate your cortisol. And it just helps you to feel fuller longer. Studies have shown that women who increase their fiber intake, again, you want to shoot for like 25 grams a day, you're going to find that you're not snacking as often. You're going to find that it's easier to lose and maintain that loss of belly fat. So I highly recommend doing a fiber supplement if you don't already have one. I've recently started taking Dr. Claire Haver's fiber supplement. I personally love like a liquid form. This is so gross. I'm sorry, but like I love a fiber drink where it like kind of gets like gooey and like a gelatinous consistency. I'm sorry. I know for some of you that's like so gross, like cream of wheat, like grits. I love that. Anyways, it's very likely that you're not getting enough fiber in your diet, even if you think you're eating a perfect diet. So another delicious alternative. These are brand new. They just came out from Midi and I'm obsessed. Two of them has 5 grams. So I just take 2 in the morning and 2 in the evening and they taste like candy. They help to keep you full. They've got a banana powder in them, which is one of the things that helps you to feel satisfied, fuller, longer. And of course, it helps to keep things moving, if you know what I mean. So I highly recommend you check these out. These are new fiber gummies from Midi, and you can get them by going to chalene.com/fiber. I do think if you're not getting enough fiber in your diet, you need to supplement. You need to supplement because it is going to help you to regulate your blood sugar. And regulating your blood sugar is huge when it comes to reducing belly fat. All right, so that's what we're going to do for diet. We need to hit that deficit. One last thing I want to say about hitting that deficit is consider doing intermittent fasting. The reason why is I'm not a fan of dieting. So I don't want you to ever be hungry. I don't want you to be like, oh God, I really want to eat something right now and I can't. I think intermittent fasting is a wonderful way to get our bodies metabolically flexible so that you don't need to be eating every couple of hours. So you're snacking less often. And one of the easiest ways to do that is just whatever time you stop eating in the evening, try to push it as long as you possibly can in the morning before you have your first meal. We call that breaking the fast. But you can have your break fast at noon or 1 p.m., depending on what time you went to bed, depending on what time you ate the night before. But tomorrow morning, just wake up and push your first meal by 30 minutes or an hour. And then the next day, another 30 minutes or an hour. And again, if you are following the approach of like, I am not messing around, I need to lose the body fat fast, then apply that approach of intermittent fasting and push that window, by an hour tomorrow, an hour the next day, and get yourself to a point where you're eating your first meal much later in the day, but not that you're hungry. Like you want to do this naturally so you start to feel like the effects of ketosis kicking in where you're like, okay, it's weird. I'm not hungry. My brain is working faster. It's just a simple, easy way to consume fewer calories. Bottom line. And lastly, when it comes to diet, if you're serious about dropping belly fat, you have got to eliminate the extra added sugars in your diet. Now, I'm not saying you need to go to zero, but what I am saying is if you're trying to hit that I'm not messing around approach, keep your added sugars under 10 grams a day. If you're like, oh no, I can't do that. That's ridiculous. Okay, great. Well, then if an approach that feels more doable for you, then try to keep them around 25 to 30 grams a day of added sugars. The main thing is to look at like how much added sugars are in your diet right now. People don't realize where these added sugars are until you flip over the back of the package. Oh, here's a good one. My Dolly Parton pancakes. I'll never eat this box of pancakes. Dolly Parton is amazing. Let's see how many added sugars she has in this. Okay, so this has 6 grams of added sugars. That's 12%. That's not too bad. But these are the things you want to keep track of. So if you have no idea right now how much added sugars you're consuming on a daily basis, again, track for just a week. And you can do this by going back and writing down what you normally eat. If you're like, I need to start this program tomorrow and I don't have time to track for a week and then start, okay, then just do your best to look at all of the things and be honest. I'm talking about the snacks you have in the evening. I'm talking about the sugary treats when you go into this place. And, if you work in an office, when you go into the snack room and you grab a handful of write it all down so you know how many added sugars you're currently consuming. And one of the easiest ways to do this, you don't have to buy an expensive app, use ChatGPT. Just type in everything you're eating and say, point out for me, add up for me all of the likely added sugars I have in my diet daily. You don't even have to take a picture of the label. You can just tell it what you're eating and it will come up with a very good estimate for you. But you've got to reduce your added sugar intake. And guess what that means? That means you probably need to cut out alcohol. If you're on the I am not messing around plan, cut out alcohol for the next 8 weeks. And if you can't cut alcohol for the next 8 weeks, we might need a 30-day program, if you know what I'm saying. Listen, your girl gave up drinking alcohol about a year ago, so I know how delicious it is and how fun it is to unwind with that in the evenings. But man, does it make a huge difference in your belly fat. So when I started doing this, I started doing all these things. I went back to intermittent fasting, cut out the alcohol, increased my fiber intake, started taking a digestive enzyme, focused on protein, created a slight caloric deficit, and I finally started to see my abs. But there's more, because that wasn't the only thing that I did. I also changed my exercise. Now I can tell you what I did, but who cares? What matters is what is science saying? And we know from a 2024 study that for women over 40, especially those of us who are experiencing a decline in hormones, which is all women, you are very susceptible to cortisol. Like our bodies get stressed very easily. We're already in the stress state because of the decline in estrogen. So any exercise that induces cortisol, which means any exercise that basically stresses the body, elevates our cortisol levels. Having said that, we know now that studies show, generally speaking, you're going to have better success reducing body fat by sticking to zone 2 cardio and strength training, and avoiding exercise routines that are high impact, highly stressful to the body, meaning you feel broken and beat up when you're done. That's like the best way I can describe a workout that's cortisol inducing. Now, if for you, you've always been someone who sprints a couple times a week and you're wondering, well, can I still sprint? Yeah, but if that doesn't make you feel completely thrashed and beat up, if it's not spiking your cortisol, there is some emerging, well, I shouldn't say emerging. In the last 2 years, we've got some decent research to show it's a good strategy if it's appropriate for you to combine strategically some HIIT training that's not impact related. Like it's not going to tear your body apart, but it does elevate your heart rate into that higher level where you're working for like maybe even 60 seconds, 30 seconds, and then resting. So HIIT training is great, but not daily. And for some of you, I don't want you doing HIIT training. And how do you decide if you should be doing HIIT training? What I'm going to say to you now is not based on a study. This is based on over 30 years of helping women to lose body fat. You know yourself better than anyone. If the thought of doing a high impact interval workout is like, it just sounds stressful, it sounds like a burden, it doesn't sound like something that's fun or exciting or that you would love to do, don't do it. Because it's a great strategy for someone who your body's kind of built for it, your personality's built for it. But even for those of you who like a HIIT workout, use it sporadically. Your baseline should be your zone 2 cardio. Your baseline should be building muscle. So in order to build muscle, we need strength training between 3 to 5 times per week. 3 times per week if you're like, okay, I can handle this. 5 times per week if you're the I am not messing around, let's get lean. If you're on that program, I want you lifting 5 days a week. I want 3 of those days to incorporate lower body exercises. And I want every single one of your strength training program days that when you're lifting weights, you should be basically lifting maybe 6 exercises. I would say between 3 to 4 sets. And each one of those exercises, you want to take the muscle to the point where it almost fails within about 40 seconds to maximum a minute, probably more like 45 seconds. And that's going to put you in that like 10 to 15 range. That means by the time you get to the 15th rep, you're like, oh my God, I'm dying, I'm shaking, and like you can barely do it. So if you're picking up weights that are too light or you're working with resistance bands that just aren't heavy enough, you have to go much longer than 40 seconds to reach that failure. And all that means is that it's a sign for you to get resistance equipment that's more challenging for you. Maybe that means joining a gym membership or just investing in equipment that creates more resistance. But that's the deal. You've got to lift weights and you've got to focus on zone 2 cardio, things that reduce cortisol, because cortisol tells our body that we're under attack. Cortisol tells our body to store fat. So yes, it is possible to be exercising like a fiend and holding on to body fat. And let me simplify this because I know your life does not revolve around the gym. You don't have time to like, wait, I got to do this and I got to do that and I got to do that. When in doubt, prioritize the strength training. Because if it's done correctly, you're going to get that heart rate, you're going to get that cardiovascular effect from it, and you're going to be prioritizing building metabolic tissue that's active, building muscle. And that's a key to losing body fat. I know for me, I had been brainwashed, and I had helped to brainwash millions of women to believe that it's not a good workout and you're not going to lose weight and you're not going to lose body fat unless you're kicking your own ass and you are crawling and you're drenched in sweat. Like that was what I believed. And so when I myself was just packing on more body fat and exercising harder and harder and harder, I'm like, okay, well, me doing this harder is obviously not working. Maybe I actually have to look at the research. And as much as my brain said this is not going to work, doing less actually helped me to lose so much more body fat. I got leaner in my 50s than when I was doing fitness infomercials on TV, like, and trying so, like, it was my full-time job was to be lean. Now I don't care. Like, I mean, I do it to live longer and to age powerfully, but like, I don't have to be on TV and people judging my stomach. You know what I'm saying? But like the fact that my body fat is lower now and I get to enjoy life is kind of crazy. So sometimes less is more. But again, it wasn't just the diet and it wasn't just the exercise. It's also supplementation. When I was doing fitness infomercials, the company that I worked with had a ton of supplements. I was the only trainer that refused to sign a deal where I had to promote the supplements because I didn't believe in supplements. Just pure ignorance. I just thought, if you're eating a well-rounded diet, these supplements they're just something that people try to sell you to make money. That was my belief. And so I refused to do that. And then when I walked away from being in front of the camera doing consumer fitness videos, and it's really simple how all this switched for me. I did a nutritional panel with my doctor, and he went over like all of my vitamins and minerals and all of the areas where I was completely deficient. And I was like, how is this possible? And he's like, well, your age, number one, because as your hormones decline, even if you're eating a perfect diet, you're not absorbing these things. Number two, leaky gut. Number three, you just don't produce the same digestive enzymes. Number four, hormones. So it's not about taking things that give you an advantage. He's like, let's restore you to where you're supposed to be baseline. I was like, oh, like once for me anyways, I'm stubborn. Once I saw it in numbers and then I started supplementing and then testing again, having my blood work done, doing a nutritional panel and looking at where all my levels were. And it was like kind of exciting. It's like to get back up in the range. So let's talk about the supplements that are most essential when it comes to losing belly fat for women. Number one, without question, is magnesium. How magnesium is not the lead story on the news every single night when it comes to fighting obesity, when it comes to regulating hormones is beyond me. Like, it's like we know that magnesium is important, but we focus on like one form of magnesium, like magnesium citrate or, different forms of magnesium for different, you need all the forms of magnesium. And the studies regarding magnesium and obesity and helping women and men to control their blood sugar and also for hormones to work at an optimal level, we need adequate magnesium. And I think it's one of the most commonly deficient minerals that most women have. So get a good magnesium supplement. Personally, this is my personal opinion. Taking it via capsule form gives me digestive upset, right? Because a lot of magnesiums pull the water out of your system. And so then people are like, oh, I don't want to take it because I start to get like, the runs, etc. I take a powder form. And if you've got a great one, that's awesome. But let me share what I take because I've done the research and I care. So this is another one that I get through by Optimizer. It's Magnesium Breakthrough. And the reason why I do this one is because it doesn't upset my stomach. I can take it in the morning. I just mix it in with my water bottle every day. Don't do what I do. I take it twice a day. So I take a scoop in the morning and I take a scoop in the afternoon. It doesn't upset my stomach at all. When I take the capsules, if I am traveling or if it was just like one of those days where I just didn't drink my water, then I'll take the capsules. But I always say with the capsules, start slow because the powder form has a special ingredient in it that doesn't pull water out of your digestive tract. So you're not going to get the runs from it. And they both have 7 or 8 forms of magnesium in one serving, which is huge. So magnesium. Number 2, And I'll link all of these in our show notes. The number 2 supplement that I would recommend you do is, again, a digestive enzyme. I think that's really important. Number 3 would be to consider doing something like berberine. And this was a game changer in helping me to control my cortisol levels. Again, you can see your cortisol levels when you have your blood work done. It's called berberine breakthrough, and that makes a huge difference in the way that your body controls your blood sugars, which affects your hormone levels. Could you do a GLP-1? Absolutely. Let's talk about it. So a GLP-1 is considered, it's actually a hormone. So if you're somebody who's like, I don't want to think about GLP-1s, totally fine. I've done a bunch of episodes about them. I just think for some people, looking at it through a different lens and understanding that it's not about cheating and it's not about like, I don't know, doing something that's the easy way out. It's about bringing yourself to a baseline. Genetically speaking, some of you do not produce the GLP-1 agonists the way other people do. And so you're always going to be fighting this incredible hunger and the food noise and the way your body responds to insulin. And that's not about like cheating. That's about bringing yourself maybe to a baseline. And you don't have to consider, you don't have to think about doing a GLP-1 in terms of like the way it's sometimes portrayed on the news. There's lots of nuanced ways to dose a GLP-1, like a micro dose, meaning such a small amount, a whisper of an amount where it doesn't affect your appetite. So you can still make sure you're getting in enough nutrients to build muscle, but yet creating a deficit enough to lose the body fat. And for a lot of people, it's reducing inflammation, it's reducing cortisol, and it might just be that advantage that you need. But let's talk about hormones a little further, because I would also put hormones in the category of supplementation. And remember, supplementation doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I'm getting something extra. I was doing hormone replacement therapy. I'm going to tell you this. I was doing hormone replacement therapy and I still had the belly fat and I still was packing on the pounds. It's not one thing. It's doing all the things in the right order. And so hormones help you to balance things. So it's like a level playing field, but it's not a magic bullet. In most instances, it's just like level, it's allowing everything else to work. So I was doing the hormone replacement therapy. That didn't affect my belly fat. It wasn't until I started doing the other supplements and changed my diet and my exercise. Okay, so back to the most important supplements. I'm going to rattle them off real quick just in case you're like, okay, just can you give me that full list? I would say berberine, magnesium, a digestive enzyme, creatine, a must. Oh my gosh. It is why creatine right now is so hard to get your hands on, because this new research about what it does for your brain and your bodies and why it's so important, ladies, for us to have it. This is the creatine that I take. It's called Smart Creatine. It's from Brain MD. I will link it below. Almost every company I know of has been running out of creatine because of this new science, but please beware, buyer beware. I just watched a YouTube video of this guy who was analyzing some of the top creatine supplements on the market, and there were so many of them were bogus. They had very little creatine in them. Not this one. This is third-party lab tested. This is the one that I take, and I just ordered myself, sure did, 6 of these because I'm like, I'm not going to risk running out. This is a game changer and so essential when it comes to losing body fat, again, for women. Vitamin D3 and K2. You need a B complex, an omega-3, zinc and iron, because when those are deficient, you're going to be tired, you're going to be fatigued, you're not going to want to exercise, you're not going to want to lift weights, and selenium. Okay, so that's a list. Those are the key supplements that almost everybody needs in order to lose belly fat fast. And last but not least, you need to adjust your lifestyle. You either have a fat storing lifestyle or a fat shredding lifestyle. It's one or the other. Here's how to know if you think you're leading an active lifestyle, but you're actually leading a fat storing lifestyle. Most of your day is spent sitting because of your job, whatever. Even if you're hitting the gym once a day, if the rest of your day is spent sitting, you're storing fat. Like right now, I'm recording this podcast. I'm standing. I've mentioned this many times. I recorded probably thousands of podcasts sitting. That means thousands of hours sitting. Yeah, no wonder I have belly fat. Now I stand because I want to live a lean lifestyle. If you're sleep deprived, if you regularly have cocktails or drink or wine on a regular basis, that's part of a fat storing lifestyle. If you have a very high stress life, and you're not getting outside to get fresh air and sunlight daily, these are all things that contribute to a fat storing lifestyle. A lean lifestyle is one that focuses on prioritizing protein, that focuses on more movement, not necessarily more exercise, just move more. Be an active person. You can burn a ton more calories just by being neat. And I don't mean by like picking up your mess. I mean, or maybe what I mean by neat is non-exercise activity, thermogenics, meaning like it's just being like kind of a not a hyper, but like an active person. Yes, I'm talking about parking further away from the front door, but I'm also talking about like just being busy in your house. Be that person who never sits down. Be more active. Your body will live longer. You're going to feel better and you're going to help yourself to lose more body fat. Cut your alcohol consumption. And lastly, I want to encourage you to hang out with people who are also prioritizing living an active, lean lifestyle. Like there's nothing better than hanging out with people who are on the same mission as you because it makes you realize like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to be. When you hang out with people who are like always sedentary and always complaining and always injured and drinking every night and not going to the gym and prioritizing television shows over, their mobility, you start to feel like that's normal. And you're like, yeah, oh, well, if they've thrown in the towel, like I can throw in the towel too. Just make these tiny changes. You don't have to overhaul your life, but just start thinking of yourself as someone who lives a lean lifestyle. By the way, if you're still here and you just like want to hang out and have it be like less formal, I would love to invite you to become a Patreon member. It's like a podcast, except I put things on there that I don't normally put out to the public, like stories behind the scenes, sometimes some tea, things that have happened, things that are going on in my life, stuff that's like, super juicy, but like maybe not appropriate for public consumption. I'll put the link below in our show notes. And if you're new to Patreon, that link gives you 7 days to try it for free, which allows you to binge literally hundreds of episodes. I'd love to have you join my Patreon family. Again, all of the products that I love, if you want my recommendations, they're below in my show notes. I'm not brand loyal. I've listed my favorite products from my favorite companies. I hope that those are helpful to you. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in to The Chalene Show. I love you. I mean it. And I'll talk to you soon.